Hi, I'm Amy Usowski, Conservation Administrator for the town of Harwich, and I'm here today with Wendy Ray Woods Hartwell and Bob Hartwell, petitioners for Article number 40, the ban on single-use plastic bags in the town of Harwich. I'm going to turn it over to Wendy and Bob to tell you a little bit about the article.
Bob, want to go ahead?
Thank you, Amy. Just want to explain a little bit about how this came about and what it does. Essentially, we are struggling with some environmental impacts and littering impacts, which involve a lot of things, including single-use, non-reusable plastic bags. So this petition seeks to ban those over a 12-month period of time, a phase-in that would begin immediately after town meeting if this is approved, and go for a year, during which time stores would be able to use them, and eventually, hopefully, they would ship them elsewhere. But if they don't, they can't after a year, which we think will be a tremendous help for a variety of reasons on environmental impacts. We find these in streams, in harbors. They affect marine life, in storm drains, and a general blight on the environment. And they're not the only blight. There are a lot of issues involving litter and trash that we're trying to address in a variety of means, including our first annual Tour de Trash townwide cleanup on Saturday, May 2nd. What this does is it simply instructs that retail establishments cannot give these bags away at checkout within the town of Harwich after May of 2016. And that would mean that people would convert to other things, presumably cloth bags. Stores may offer alternatives for sale, such as paper bags, although some of us believe that even those will go away eventually in favor of permanent cloth, washable, reusable bags that you're starting to see in any event. Some of the biggest retailers are beginning to promote anyway. So it's an effort to eliminate something that is using petroleum as a basis, that is a cause of what environmental organizations tell us is more than 10% of our litter stream. And the rest of it ends up in landfills because plastic bags do not recycle well. They are not accepted by the zero-sort single stream recycling system that you see in New England now. It's where we are going in New England as a way to handle recyclables. They're all sent in one stream to large facilities and then separated automatically there and sent to the various markets that exist for plastics and metals and so forth. The bags are rejected by those facilities. There's a tremendous capital investment to handle bags of this, and this is the bag here, the single-use bag. You have to have an enormous volume of these to have any recycling value at all. And according to Massachusetts environmental organizations such as Mass Audubon and Mass Sierra Club, less than 6% of these bags are recovered in Massachusetts, which means they are either litter or they're going to landfills as trash. They're not being recycled. So in order to promote recycling and try to reduce our litter load and environmental impacts, we think this is a proper thing to do. It has been done in, I believe, 11 other towns so far. It is pending this week in Wellfleet and has been passed in Provincetown, Falmouth. It's been the law in Nantucket for almost 25 years. And we would hope that Harwich would take a leadership position in this. And it has a tendency to affect shorefront towns more than others. However, Brookline, Wellesley, Great Barrington, to name Cambridge, to name four, have adopted single-use plastic bag bans, and several North Shore towns have also done so. So that's kind of the essence of it. There's a fine for violating this law. I have yet to hear of anyone being fined for violating a plastic bag ban. A police officer or a health department agent would have the discretion to simply say to some establishment, if they're doing it, ask them to stop doing it.
Yeah, I think
without
that's
a fine.
Important to clarify that, because yeah, as with anything new that comes out, there's always some confusion. And I know I've heard some people say, well, gee, am I going to be arrested if I'm walking around with a plastic bag? no, you are not going to be arrested. And I think that's important to point that out because there could be some confusion surrounding the fine aspect of this particular petition that we are seeking.
It's not a punitive proposal at all, and the agencies will not be involved in wandering around seeing if someone's got plastic bags. Well, there'll always be some of them, but they just can't be distributed. The point is to capture it at retail, at checkout, and eventually the stores aren't going to have them anyway.
Right.
And we know that the grocery stores have been really interested in this, and they are converting over to other, slowly but nevertheless, trying to get their customers interested in other ways of taking their product from the store to the car.
I think I'd like to talk a little bit about the issue, and Amy, as a conservationist, I'm sure you are well aware of the impacts of all types of litter and trash and what it does to our treasured areas. And one of the big pieces to me has been the impact of the plastic bag in particular, and all plastics that contribute to the huge gyres out there in the Pacific and the Atlantic and the Indian Oceans, as well as the fact that tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of marine life and birds are impacted to the point, where tens of thousands of them are actually killed every year. And, and what that does to the whole ecosystem. And I don't know if you care to comment a little bit about that. How do you feel about that?
Well, first I'll just say, on behalf of the Conservation Commission has endorsed this article. The Conservation Commission is in charge of, has jurisdiction over wetlands and waterways and nearshore areas in the town of Harwich, and they felt that this was an important article to endorse, and they also felt it was something very doable. That it's a doable article. It's something that we in town can easily tackle, and contribute to the good. As far as the impacts it has on wetlands and species, as far as wetlands, I mean, if you get litter, trash, and plastic bags along our shores, it can stunt plant growth. Plastic bags are often mistaken by a lot of wildlife for food items. I mean, and they can't digest them.
No.
And plastic bags, especially for things like sea turtles sink their jellyfish.
They do,
And
exactly.
they'll ingest them, and unfortunately, they
Fatal
don't
results.
digest well.
No, they do not.
So this is it's a way for the Conservation Commission, we see, to kind of stand up and say, hey, we support something that's going to better our environment and what we are trying to protect, what we're charged to protect. So.
Yeah, and there are a couple other things I think that are of interest when we talk about this particular issue. And one of them is the fact that this is 10% or more, probably higher, of our trash stream, the litter that we see day in and day out on highways, roadways, and flying in the trees and the bushes. And we know that in order, and this kind of fits in with what we're doing this Saturday with Tour de Trash too, the fact that by having a group of volunteers and building community to get out and actually take pride in the community and do something physical to improve it is so important. It's important to the individual, it's important to the town, and by the way, it saves a lot of money. The costs vary from $10,000 to $20,000 for a town-wide cleanup. And just think of the plastic bags alone. If there were town-wide cleanups several times a year, the amount of money that's being saved. You know, we're looking anywhere from $2,000 to perhaps even, you know, $8,000 to $10,000 savings, and that's just with eliminating the plastic bags. So, you know, to me, that's an important factor as well. We're actually saving the town of Harwich money, and they are saving the other towns where they have enacted these articles as well. And another thing, as a professional, or as my profession, I am a realtor, and I have done some research on litter and its impact on property values. And I was very surprised, well, perhaps not very surprised, but I was sort of surprised at the amount of degradation to the property values when there is a perception of litter, and it actually can decrease property values by up to 9%. And that's huge. Again, you look at those numbers, you just carry it straight through, and if you have a decrease in value of property, be it business, commercial properties, or residential, then that is essentially a drain on the revenue stream as well for towns. So you have to look at it so many different ways. But the other thing I think that is so important, I'm excited about, and I know this has happened in other towns, one of which I was involved with on the periphery in Connecticut, and that is the fact this is a fabulous opportunity for the town of Harwich to get together with various organizations and groups and individuals and students, artists, we could just go on, and actually develop a fabulous product that would be a reusable bag, and that would help with the branding of the town and fit in, kind of dovetail with what perhaps the Chamber is doing, the town of Harwich. There are so many opportunities here, and to make it a fun event, a process, where there's a contest where people can design the bag. So I don't want to take up any more time here, but Bob, you look like you have something else to say.
Before we conclude, I just wanted to remind us all that this is Article 40 in the warrant for the town meeting on May 4th. It appears in these handouts that are around town and also in the town report. So I think the language is very specific about what it is that's sought to be done. So, but they're available before town meetings, so if we've missed any facet that someone may have a question about.
I'd like to say thank you, and thank you to people who are concerned about their community and how it looks and the impacts on species out there. And Amy, you do a wonderful job with the conservation. So thank you.
Thank you for your help.
Absolutely. Thank you.